Good afternoon and good evening to all. Myself Vaibhav. In today's session of Visual JForex, we'll be starting afresh with a new indicator. We will see how we can use the Fibonacci pivot point for defining and designing a logical formation to develop an system to trade profitably in the financial markets. So let us get started. We will head to the Visual JForex board, which has been developed by the Dukascopy Bank SA. Here you will find the indicator Fibonacci pivot listed amongst the trend determining indicators. We use this Fibonacci pivot series to define whether the underlying instrument is trading in a bearish or bullish manner, and accordingly we can define the system to trade. We have to define these four input parameters depending on which we will be getting these output values. The central pivot point plays a key role while determining the sentiments of the underlying instrument, and along with that these resistance and support levels can also provide us the opportunities for the entry points. We will be dealing with a formation on the weekly candle period, so that will be easier for us to trade with target and stop loss in such a manner that we will have the opportunity to capitalize on the big consolidation levels and possibility of new trends starting thereon. The logic is going to be fairly simple. I will explain to you. We will be looking to initiate the buy trade when we see that the consolidation has happened for more than a day at least closer to the support area, and we will be looking to initiate the sell trade when we see that the consolidation has happened closer to the resistance level. And to make things simpler, as we want you to understand the logic, and if you feel like you can develop the more complex formations on your own. So for representative purpose, I will be only using the single series here, the first resistance and the first support, for demonstrating how we can utilize this Fibonacci pivot to define and design the algorithm. So here we will utilize the first support, the S1 of the Fibonacci series, on the weekly time frame. Here the time frame of the Fibonacci series is weekly. You can see this W. Okay, if we have to edit it, all we have to do is select the options here, input and the output, the instrument, the candle period, as you can see, 1 week. Okay, so we want the consolidation to happen first, and whenever we see the reversal of sort happening, we will look to initiate the trade. So we will take the data of last 1 day into consideration, and if we are utilizing these hourly candles as our guiding factor, then we will be utilizing the last few hours data as well as the hourly candle which has closed 24 hours back, and that should have closed lower compared to the first support. And then after that consolidation, if we see that recently the price is now starting to move higher again above this first support, then we will look to initiate the buy trade. So for that we will consider the last few hours candle formation. Also we will need the last hourly candle to have closed higher compared to this first support, and the penultimate hourly candle should have closed lower. Okay, and along with that, as I said, we will also take into consideration the hourly candle which has closed 24 hours back. So with the look back period of 24, we will see whether the hourly candle was closing on the lower side or not, and if had closed on the lower side, then only we can consider the system ready for initiating the new trade. And to make sure that we are taking into consideration the price volatility in the recent hours, we will simply keep the stop loss levels according to the volatility of last few hours. We will consider the difference between the closing value of the last hour and the hourly candle which had closed 4 hours back. We will take the difference between the lowest point and the closing value of the last hourly candle, and that will be our stop loss, and twice of it will be our target price to get the risk reward ratio of 1:2. Okay, so that's the simplicity of this formation for the buy side trade. And for any sell trade to be initiated, we will simply reverse the condition. We will use the inverted formation. Here we will utilize the first resistance to be our guiding factor, guiding light. We will need the last hourly candle to have closed below these first resistance, whereas the penultimate hourly candle should have closed on the higher side. And as we had done in the case of buy side, here also we will be taking into consideration the hourly candle which has closed 24 hours back, and that should have closed on the higher side. So after that, if we see that the consolidation has taken place, and again after that consolidation, if the underlying instrument is showing the signs of bearishness and now the price is starting to dip on the lower side, we will look to initiate the sell trade. So that's how our system is going to play out. Okay, and here also the stop loss will be similar. We will utilize the difference between the closing value of the last hourly candle and the the highest point of the hourly candle which had closed 4 hours back. And of course it should have necessarily closed on the higher side compared to this R1, and only in that case we will take the difference. Okay, so that is going to be our requirement for initiation of the sell trade. Now we head back to the Visual JForex board where we will have to get the instrument subscription done first. For that, I'm going to take the help of logical components, if else block, default instrument should be equal to candle instrument, and candle instrument should match the instrument of our choice, which is going to be Euro USD. So here we have to find Euro USD in this long list of instruments, and here I have found it finally. Okay, so there is the instrument subscription, and after that we have to see that there is no existing open or pending position. For that we have to take position info into consideration. All position amount should be equal to 0. Okay, we then take these Fibonacci pivot indicated block. Default instrument remains as it is. The period of this Fibonacci pivot block I will change to weekly. Shift value, we will be using the current output values, and here also it should be changed to weekly. Okay, and then depending on these input values we get this. output values. Now we have to take the info data. For that we are going to rely on the gate historical candle, and we will need couple of hourly candle with the different shift values. Look back period will be different for each of these hourly candle. We will have to consider the last hourly candle close and also the penultimate hourly candle close. Along with that, the hourly candle which had closed 4 hours back. So here I think at the bare minimum we are going to need 4 of these gate historical candle of the hourly candle period each. All right, I'll change here to 1 hour. This one also changed to hourly. Okay, then these shift values will need to be changed. 1, in this case 2, here it will be 4, and here it will be 24. Okay, and along with this we will also need the two 10-second blocks for determining the exact entry point. Okay, I will change this candle period to 10 seconds, and the shift value will be changed to 1 and 2 respectively. Okay, so these are the basic building blocks of our algorithm to help us retrieve the price action data along with these Fibonacci output values, which we are then going to utilize to define the logical formation for figuring out the trading opportunities in the market. Okay, so for the day we stop here, and I hope you have been able to understand the logical requirement, what are going to be the conditions for the execution of the trade, and we will continue in the next session. We will first session we will deal with the buy side of the equation. We will see how we can define the conditions for the execution of the buy trade, and then in the subsequent session I will be also explaining the formation for defining the entry trade for the sell side. So see you again, and I hope you will be joining back, and for further coverage on the market developments you can check out the Dukascopy analytics page, for which the link has been provided. We are also available on the Facebook. Do join us there. Thank you all for joining in. See you next time around. Till then, goodbye.